Hello, I'm making another video finally. It's been months, but I'm gonna use the pandemic as an excuse. I've had like kind of a rough semester. I mean, I feel like everybody's probably had a pretty rough semester, but I was having a rough semester even before the pandemic started, I'll be honest. I kind of like bit off more than I could chew this semester, I think, and then I also got really sick at the start of February, and my mom kind of thinks that I had like COVID, but I don't think I did. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. I'll never know unless I get that the antibody test or whatever. But I have now finished my second year at Cornell. I am now halfway through my bachelor's degree, which is like super crazy to think about. I feel like I just started. And sort of looking back from the halfway point, I started thinking like, what should I make a video on? I feel like I have like more experience now. I feel like I should be able to like make a video about, you know, something more general. So I'm a biology major. And I just want to talk a little bit about what that means and what that looks like at Cornell, because the experience of biology majors is really diverse because it is the biggest major at Cornell. I have notes down here, by the way, which is why I keep looking at my laptop down here. Because it's the biggest major, there's a lot of subdivisions within that major, and so like one of the main divisions is between CALS and Arts and Sciences. So if you don't know about Cornell, basically we've got a bunch of colleges within the university, and two of those are the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, or CALS, and also the College of Arts and Sciences, which is the biggest college at Cornell and includes a lot of like the hard sciences and like social sciences and humanities, stuff like that. You can major in biology in both of those colleges. Also, you have to choose a concentration, and there's like a whole bunch that you can choose from. Just to like be clear about where I'm coming from, I am a biology major in arts and sciences, and I have a concentration in ecology and evolutionary biology. I don't really know anything about being pre-med. I'm not pre-med, so I don't really have any like specific advice or information targeted towards pre-med students, because anytime anybody talks about pre-med, I'm just like, please keep it away from me. I don't want anything to do with that. But because it's the largest major at Cornell, we have a lot of like biology specific advising and a lot of biology resources available at Cornell to support, you know, that large network of students. But I will say, as somebody who's not pre-med, I will say a lot of the major requirements for biology seem to be tailored towards pre-med students and like the pre-med requirements that medical schools are looking for. I feel like that's probably the case with a lot of universities. We do have like a really strong ecology and evolutionary like presence at Cornell also, especially within like CALS. So I feel like I applied to go to the wrong college within Cornell, and I thought about like transferring to CALS from arts and sciences, but I found out that it's like you gotta like really transfer and like do this whole like application process to transfer, and I just like was not feeling it, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. Within biology, you've got your major requirements, and there's a whole bunch of those, and if you just Google Cornell biology major requirements, it'll be right there, and it'll take you to the Office of Undergraduate Biology website. Then you can look at the major requirements, and they've got some information here, just like generally. Basically, you've got all these requirements here, and I'm just going to sort of walk through these and talk about which ones I did, how I felt about them, and which ones I've like done already and stuff like that. I'm planning on making another video more like specifically talking about scheduling. You take 2 out of the 3 following classes. I don't know of anybody who has taken 1445, and this is like off campus at Shoals Marine Lab, which is for people that want to study like marine biology, which is one of the concentrations in biology. The real like 3 main ones are 1350, 1440, and 1610. The other ones are just variations. I took 1440 and 1610. Ecology and evolutionary biology concentrations either have to or should take 1610, and then I think pre-med should probably take cell and developmental biology, and then I think everybody should take 1440. Well, I took 1440. That one was actually like a really hard class. It was a lot of memorization, a lot of work. I've heard that 1350 is also similarly hard. I thought 1610 was pretty easy, but also I am, you know, partial to ecology because that's my concentration and it's what I want to study. I took both of these my freshman year. I took 1610 my first semester. I took 1440 my second semester freshman year. So like this other like bio-SM one, the investigative lab also offers a counterpart at Shoals Marine Lab. Most people take it as a freshman. A lot of people like also don't though. You should definitely take it at the end of your second year because you learn really basic like scientific method lab skills. It's a 3-hour class block. It's super painful and awful, and everyone that I took it with absolutely despised every second of this class. But it was only 2 credit hours. It was super easy. It was like not that much work. You had to write like a couple of like lab papers, like scientific papers and stuff, but it really like wasn't that bad. It was just so pointless. There was no point to anything that we were doing. Again, we've got 1780, and then we've also got a couple of different variations on 1780. This one is in the summer, 1781. You could also take it at Shoals Marine Lab. I took regular 1780. I took this my second semester freshman year at the same time as 1440. They kind of like reinforced each other in a way. I don't know if I'd recommend taking the classes together because I also had them in the same lecture hall, in the same room. At the start of the semester, I kind of like mixed them up and couldn't remember like what class I like learned certain things in, but they definitely did reinforce each other, like this subject matter. A lot of people waited to take this until like their senior year or like later on, but I was a freshman when I took it. It doesn't really matter. Gen Chem, most people take Gen Chem their freshman year. I did not make it into Gen Chem 1 my first semester of freshman year because I did not go on pre-enroll soon enough. So it was filled out before I enrolled, so I just kind of panicked and pushed it off until my second year. But when I was in freshman year, a lot of people that were also freshmen and were taking Gen Chem were like, oh my god, you're so smart for pushing it off. And I was like, it was an accident. They were like, still, that was a really good choice. So I don't know, I really did not mind taking it my second year. It was a lot of work. It was really hard. And yeah, I think maybe doing this along with all of the other things that come with, you know, freshman year might be a lot of work for some people. I don't know of anybody who took 2150, but also I don't know a lot of people, so 2150 is like smushing it all together into one semester. College math. All right, this one, so you have to do 1 semester of calculus. I did math 1106, which is calculus for the life and social sciences. 1110 is like regular calculus 1, but this like covers sort of the same thing. A lot of people took 1106 thinking that it was going to be easier than 1110, and it absolutely was not. It was super painful and nobody liked that class. They like did not explain things enough for us, and like we took every single test twice. Like we would do it all individually and then we would do it again in groups. Don't know why they did that, but then one more from one of these, and I am planning to take introductory statistics for biology because I don't really know anything about statistics, and I feel like doing something in statistics, at least for one class, will be helpful for me in the future. Organic chemistry, I have not done that yet. I plan on doing 1570, which is like baby orgo. 3570 and 3580 are kind of like the typical one you do. 1570 is sort of like just getting the requirement done. Medical schools and stuff want people to take a full year of orgo, but that's for a lot of like, I don't know. I'm planning on taking 1570. I'm probably gonna ask my advisor if that's like a bad idea. I mean, I asked my like student advisor my freshman year if it was okay, and I explained that I'm doing ecology and evolutionary biology and I'm not really interested in like biochemistry or like that kind of thing, so he said that it would probably be okay to do 1570. But yeah, I don't really like chemistry at all, so I'm going to try and see if I can get away with doing 1570. Physics, I am going to do just general 1 and 2. I think I heard somewhere that like electromagnetism is really interesting, but I think I'm just gonna do general 1 and 2. I'm gonna save these for senior year. I think they offer individualized instruction, so that means that you do everything like individually and on your own and like online and stuff like that, which means that you don't schedule a block of time for it in the day, which sort of opens up time in your schedule. Genetics and genomics, I did 2800 my second semester of my sophomore year, and then I am planning to do 2801, which is the lab component, in the fall of this year. But if Cornell ends up not going back to school like in person, then maybe I'll just push it off another semester or something, because I took the Gen Chem 2 lab over like the internet, like for online classes because of COVID, and it was so awful. I hated every second of that. I was told by someone to do 3300, the individualized instruction, and then you also have to do a concentration, and I'm gonna sort of talk about concentrations. These are all the concentrations. I am doing ecology and evolutionary biology, so I'm going to go through these real quick. So I showed how to get to this list, which looks a lot like the major list. It just sort of has these headings and a list of courses that you can take to fulfill that requirement in bold. And they have this same sort of listing for all the other concentrations, which you could also access from that previous page. So yeah, like I said, the EEB concentration, you have to take 1610, and you have to take at least 13 credit hours for the concentration and one course from A, B, and C. So if you're more focused on ecology, you should take this, but if you're more focused on evolution, take one of the other ones. I think I wrote down that I want to take macroevolution. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go for this one at some point, but the next time they offer it is my spring of my senior year. I really hope I can get into that class. So for this one, I did 2740. I did that this past semester. That was a fun one. I enjoyed that class. Ecology and evolutionary systems. What am I planning on doing? Okay, for this one I want to do paleobiology. This one's an interesting one. And then I think I might want to do like forest ecology or like lake ecology or something. I don't know. There's also some other variations on the EEB concentration where you can get like field experience and stuff like that. Since you can do biology within a couple of different colleges, you also have to deal with college requirements for each college. However, the major requirements are the same. I'm in the College of Arts and Sciences, so I'm going to quickly go through the requirements. Right after I enrolled at Cornell, they got a new undergraduate curriculum. Anybody who starting this fall has to fulfill these requirements on this website, but then anybody who started before that has the current degree requirements. So I have to meet the current degree requirements, but anybody who is watching this video as a prospective student will have to meet these requirements on this page here. So you've got 2 FWSs, freshman writing seminars, and I did 1 each semester of my freshman year. You have to apply to them in a different way than the rest of the classes. You have to like go to like an FWS specific website, and then you have to like ballot, which is where you pick, you know, a few that you want to do, and then they pick it for you. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. I kind of hate it. The foreign language requirement, you have to either pass an intermediate level language or get 11 credits. So I decided to continue with a language that I had already kind of like knew a little bit, so that I passed the intermediate level with 8 credit hours in a language. So I managed to pass the language requirement faster than I would if I had done the 11 credit requirement. But you know, some people just started over with a new language, and I think some language classes also will give you a credit for like distribution requirements and stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but there's a bunch of distribution requirements. Some classes will satisfy multiple distribution requirements, and when it says the course has to contain the suffix as, that basically means, if I go back over here and go to, or if I go to course description, for example, if I go to South Asian diaspora, these here are what they're talking about. So these are the old requirements. GHB is like global and historical breadth, and then cultural analysis, which is one of the distribution requirements, -AS, which means that this fulfills this requirement for arts and sciences. And that is what this note means here when it says the AS suffix in the class roster. That's what it's referring to. And also, courses in your major can also count towards these distribution requirements. So for example, any of the bio classes that I took would have, like, you know, fulfilled this one. And then you've got major, you got residence requirements, and also credit requirements. So you have to take at least 120 credits in the school, and 100 of them have to be from College of Arts and Sciences. AP or like similar, you know, upper level classes can count towards this 120 credits for like the school, but do not count as arts and sciences classes. And then you also have to pass your swim test and have 2 gym classes. And then here it will go more into these requirements, which I really don't know anything about. So if you are somebody who is starting at Cornell this upcoming semester or later, this is the page. You're going to want to read all this because it's important. But for me, I'm here. These are all my requirements that I had to do. In the future, they're just sort of combining these, you know, distribution and breadth requirements into just distribution requirements. I would highly recommend going through and seeing what all of these really mean and what courses can fulfill them. And the way that you do that is you go into not course descriptions, but Cornell class roster, which is similar but not exactly the same. It gives you a lot of the same information, but the most important thing is that you can search breadth distribution, and then you can go in and select any of these. So like historical analysis for arts and sciences, and then it'll tell you all of the classes that will fulfill that requirement. You can just sort of go down the page and pick one that you think looks interesting. Basically, that's all you really need to know about, you know, the major requirements for biology. Another major part of biology is research. A lot of students in biology do research, and there's a lot of different types of research that you can do in a lot of different fields of biology, but you can also do research for like different types of compensation. You can get paid positions sometimes. Lots of research is done for class credit, where you can get credit for, like I said, like the EEB concentration, and you can also just volunteer and not get any sort of compensation for your research. But either way, you get to put it on your resume, and you'll, you know, be able to network with the professors that you're doing research with and stuff like that. So it is still valuable to get research experience even if you're not getting paid for it. There's also a lot of research related programs and workshops. I did like a research workshop, and then I also did the peer mentorship program, where students that have gotten involved in research are paired up with students that want to get involved in research, and they can kind of talk with each other. I wouldn't really recommend that program though, because it really was not that helpful, but the workshop that I did was really helpful, and it was every Monday evening for like 6 weeks or something, and it was like with the Office of Undergraduate Biology, and that was super informative and super helpful, and people actually showed up to it, which was really great. But what I learned in those workshops was how do you get involved in research, and basically the main ways to do it are to talk to your professors that teach the classes that you're in, especially if you're really interested in the subject material. The reason that they're teaching those classes is because they are super passionate about that subject and they want to talk about the research, and most of the faculty do research. All of them like have done research in the past at least, and you can talk to them about their research and they will be very happy to talk about their research. I have not done this yet. I was planning on doing it this past semester, but then we had a pandemic, so I didn't do that. You can also email any professor if you just like look up biology faculty. If you go to like the Office of Undergraduate Biology website, you can look up like the faculty there, and there will be like a little bit of like information on each of the professors and like what their research interests are, what classes they teach, stuff like that. And so you can just send any of those people an email and ask them about their research, and then eventually talk with them, email back and forth a little bit, or meet in person and talk about their research. And then after you get to know them a little bit better, ask, you know, do you have any spots open in your lab? Also, if professors are scary, you can talk to the TAs in your class. A lot of the TAs, if not all of them, do research also, and they can tell you about what it's like to get involved in research. We can ask them about what their labs are like and what sort of research they do, and who knows, you might end up talking to a TA who does research that you're really interested in, and you might be able to get a position in a lab through your TA. It has happened. But personally, I have struggled to get involved in research because I have taken sort of an approach to scheduling my classes where basically I am trying to take as many classes as I can as early on as I can, because I know that every semester I end up pushing a class further back that I intended to take it, and so I'm like trying really hard not to be at a point in my senior year of having a bunch of requirements and not being able to fit them into my schedule. Basically, I've ended up with really packed schedules. I'm also taking a lot of really long classes, including lab classes. A lot of labs are like really long, like 3 hours long. And I'm also a fine arts minor, so I'm taking art studios, which are also 3 hours long. So I just do not have enough time in the day to be like doing research. If you're scheduling your classes and you want to get involved in research, you should, you know, try to work in a space in like multiple days in the week that you can use that time in research. So if your schedules are super packed all day every day like mine are, you won't be able to get a research position because nobody is going to want somebody in their lab that can only work Friday afternoons for 2 hours or something like that. But there's some labs where like you can come in on weekends or something like that. So it really just depends on the lab and how flexible they are. You might need to try out multiple labs to find one that suits you, you know, where like the lab dynamic sort of goes along with what you want, and like the responsibilities go along with what responsibilities you want to take on, and like where the lab environment is an environment that you want to be in, and like where they give you the type of work that you want to be doing. Like, do you want to be working in a team, or do you want to be working mostly individually? Do you want to be more independent, or do you want to be told what to do? Stuff like that all varies based on what lab you're in. So that is the sort of thing that you want to be asking your like professors or TAs or whoever you're talking to about research. Like, what is your lab environment like? Because you want to find a lab that is a good match for you. It's important to note though that they will hire inexperienced students, so you don't need to have prior research experience to get involved in research. Plenty of people just start research in college. I have not done anything yet. I was going to do research this summer. I applied for a research job and then they closed all of the labs before I even got an interview, which really sucks because this is going to be like the summer that I finally got started, because I have an apartment there that is now unoccupied because they made me come home. I was supposed to stay there this summer and like get involved in research and work in a lab and like do the things that I want to do while I'm in college, but I can't do that anymore because of Corona. And also, depending on the lab, some of them prefer younger students, like they want freshmen and sophomores, or, you know, rising sophomores, rising juniors to be working in their labs, because they want younger students that can dedicate multiple years to the lab and like work throughout their college experience. But also lots of labs prefer older students that have already taken certain classes such as Orgo, which might give them background knowledge that they need to be able to do the type of research that the lab is doing. And, you know, they might want some evidence that they're like a good student and stuff like that. It really just depends on the lab and what sort of goals they have in mind for the students that are working there. And yeah, so basically that's what I have experienced as a biology major. There are multiple like biology related extracurriculars and stuff like that that I haven't really touched on. So, you know, if you are, you know, a prospective student that is interested in the biology major, I hope I have answered some of your questions. Feel free to leave any other questions or more specific questions in the comments. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching.